Welcome to Pillow Talk Dreams, where every night becomes a story and every story leads you to peace. If you love calm voices, gentle journeys, and stories that help you drift into dreams, then don't forget to subscribe and let your nights be a little softer. Now close your eyes and let the story begin.
Love found me while I was sleeping. The rain was light that evening, a soft rhythm against the window that filled the silence of Ayan's apartment. He sat by the window with a cup of tea gone cold, staring at the glow of city lights reflected in the glass. The world outside was still alive. Cars moved like rivers of light. People hurried beneath umbrellas. Yet inside, everything was motionless. He'd been living in the same apartment for 3 years now, but it still felt temporary, like a stopover between two forgotten destinations. Work, home, sleep, repeat. The quiet hours of night had become both his comfort and his loneliness. And lately, he'd been dreaming more than usual. Dreams he couldn't quite remember, except for one thing: a voice. A soft, distant voice whispering, "You're not alone, Ayan." He didn't know who it belonged to, but every morning he woke with that warmth in his chest, a feeling of being seen, even if only in dreams. That night, he fell asleep with the sound of rain still in his ears. The city faded, and the dream began. He was standing in an empty train station bathed in gold light. No announcements, no people, just stillness. The sunlight came through the glass ceiling in soft streaks, and dust shimmered in the air like slow-moving stars. He looked around, unsure how he'd gotten there. And then he heard footsteps. A girl appeared at the far end of the platform, wearing a pale dress that swayed with the lightest breeze. Her hair caught the sunlight, and though her face was blurred at first, something about her felt familiar, like a half-remembered song. She stopped when she saw him. "You came," she said, smiling gently. "Do I know you?" he asked. She tilted her head, amused. "Not yet, but you will." Before he could speak again, the sound of a train filled the station, a train made of light, its cars glowing like glass. It slowed beside them, doors sliding open without a sound. "Where does it go?" Ayan asked. "Everywhere you wish you'd gone," she replied. And as he took a step toward it, he woke up. Morning sunlight poured through the curtains. His heart was still racing, the sound of her voice echoing in his head. "Not yet, but you will." He sat up, rubbed his eyes, and laughed softly. "What kind of dream was that?" he muttered. But as he walked to the kitchen, he froze. On the counter, next to his half-empty mug from last night, was a folded train ticket. Not a real one, just a slip of paper, white and plain, but it had words written on it in elegant handwriting. "Everywhere you wish you'd gone." He stared at it for a long time. His logical mind said it had to be something he'd written absent-mindedly. But deep down, he knew he hadn't. That evening, Ayan walked the same streets he always did, down the busy boulevard, past the coffee shop he never entered, and across the small bridge that overlooked the city river. But tonight, everything felt different. The lights seemed warmer. The air carried a quiet hum. And as he stood by the railing, watching his reflection shimmer on the water's surface, he saw something. A figure walking toward him. A girl in a light-colored dress. The same soft movement of hair, the same calm smile from the dream. His breath caught. She stopped beside him, holding a coffee cup in both hands. For a few seconds, they just stood there in the quiet city breeze. Then she said softly, "You dropped this last night." In her hand, a folded slip of paper, the same one with the words, "Everywhere you wish you'd gone." How do you have that?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. She looked at him with eyes that seemed to know things they shouldn't. "Maybe you were just dreaming of the wrong places." Before he could say another word, she smiled and walked past him, disappearing into the crowd. Ion spent the whole night replaying that moment. The way she'd looked at him, calm, certain, familiar. He checked his phone, his messages, his notes, even old pictures. Nothing. No trace of her. But that night, when he finally drifted to sleep again, the dream returned. The train station. The golden light. And her. "You found me," she said this time. "Who are you?" The part of your heart that never stopped believing. And as she smiled, the train of light began to move again, slowly, beautifully, carrying them both towards something unknown, yet safe. When Ion woke up, the world outside felt softer somehow. The noise of the city didn't bother him. The rain, the light, even the silence, all seemed to hum with meaning. He didn't understand what was happening, but he didn't need to. For the first time in years, he felt alive. And somewhere deep inside, he knew the dream wasn't over. It was only beginning. Dawn. Morning sunlight crept into Ion's room, soft and gold, brushing the edges of his desk and spilling across his face. He woke with the memory of Alina's voice echoing gently in his mind, then learned to dream awake. He stayed still, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in his life, waking up didn't feel like leaving something behind. It felt like carrying something with him. The world looked the same city, same people, same noise, but everything felt slightly slower, softer. It was as if life itself had remembered how to breathe. That evening, he went to the cafe again, the one by the willow trees where she'd first smiled at him. He didn't expect to see her, but there she was, sitting by the window, stirring her coffee like she'd been waiting forever. She looked up and said, "You came." He laughed gently, still in awe. "I keep trying not to. And yet, you do." There was comfort in her calmness, the way she never rushed, never filled the silence with unnecessary words. They talked for hours again, about childhood dreams, forgotten places, and the strange comfort of being lost together. At one point, she looked at him seriously. "Ion, do you believe everything happens for a reason?" "I used to," he said. "Then life happened." She nodded, eyes thoughtful. "Maybe life is the reason." Her words lingered like music. That night, he dreamed of her again, but the dream was different this time. The train station was gone. Instead, they were walking through an open field covered in silver grass under a quiet, endless sky. The air shimmered faintly, and stars hung low enough to touch. Alina stopped and turned to him. "You're almost ready," she said. "For what?" "To see what's real." The ground beneath them began to glow, and the stars pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. "Alina, are you even real?" he asked. "Does it matter?" she whispered. "You feel me, don't you?" He reached out, touched her hand. It felt warm, alive. "Yes," he said, "I feel you." "Then that's enough." He woke up to the sound of rain. Except this time, he wasn't alone. There was a scent in the air, jasmine and rain mixed together, and on the pillow beside him, a single silver hair ribbon. He stared at it, his heart thundering. The boundary was blurring. Dream and reality were slowly becoming one. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. Everywhere he went, he noticed subtle signs. A busker on the corner playing the same melody she used to hum. A stranger handing him a jasmine flower at the crosswalk. A line from her voice whispering through a passing breeze. Love doesn't wait until you're ready. It arrives when you need it most. He began to write again. Poems, stories, letters, words he hadn't touched in years. It was as if Alina had reawakened every quiet corner of his soul. One night, as he sat by the river, the city lights reflecting off the water, he whispered, "I don't even know if you're real, Alina, but you've changed everything." And in that very moment, he heard her voice, gentle and close, though no one was there. Maybe that's what real love does. It changes you, whether I'm here or not. He closed his eyes. The air shimmered softly. When he opened them again, she was standing there, right beside him, like she had always belonged to this moment. No explanation, no dreamlike glow. Just her. You're here, he breathed. She smiled. You finally saw me. Have you always been here? Every time you chose kindness instead of silence. Every time you looked up at the sky and wondered if someone was looking back. Ayan's eyes filled with quiet tears. Why me? Alina stepped closer, touched his chest lightly. Because you stopped believing that love could find you. And love doesn't like to be forgotten. The rain began to fall again, soft and slow. They didn't move. The world around them blurred. And for that single heartbeat, there was no difference between the dream and the waking world. She looked up at him, eyes shimmering with warmth. Promise me something, she said. Anything. If I fade, keep dreaming with your eyes open. I don't want you to fade. She smiled, almost wistful. Then remember me. That night, Ayan didn't sleep. He didn't need to. For the first time, he understood. She wasn't a dream that visited him. She was the part of him that had learned how to love again. And even if the world tried to separate dreams from daylight, his heart knew the truth. Love had found him while he was sleeping and taught him how to stay awake for it. The city outside her apartment was quiet, save for the distant hum of cars and the occasional murmur of night owls returning home. Inside, her small room was filled with shadows dancing across the walls as the soft light of a single lamp flickered. She sat on the edge of her bed, wrapped in a thin blanket, staring at the ceiling as if the patterns of cracks could tell her the secrets of her own heart. Her life had always been orderly, predictable, yet beneath that order lay a subtle ache, a loneliness she had grown accustomed to. Friends were there. Laughter occasionally filled her apartment, but it never quite touched the hollow that lived in her chest. Love, she realized, had always seemed like a story meant for someone else. She had read it in novels, seen it in films, even envied it quietly in the lives of those around her, but never truly believed it could find her. And yet, it had started visiting her in dreams. At first, it was fleeting, a shadow in a moonlit park, a laugh carried on the wind, a presence she couldn't place. She never saw his full face, only fragments. The curve of his smile, the warmth in his eyes, the way his hand seemed to reach out just before she woke. Each morning, she would awaken with a lingering sense of both longing and comfort, as if her heart had met someone who understood its quietest, most secret language. She often wondered if it was foolishness, if she was letting herself fall for a dream. But the dreams were more than figments. They left impressions, subtle and deep. Her favorite cafe suddenly seemed empty without him. The streetlights outside her window felt lonely without his presence, and even the songs she listened to seemed to hum with the memory of him. One night, after a particularly vivid dream, she lay awake, her heart still racing. In the dream, he had stood under an old oak tree, the leaves shimmering like emeralds in the soft glow of sunset. His eyes had met hers, and in that silent gaze, she had felt a connection so profound it had made her breath catch. For a moment, she had reached out to him, only to awaken before her fingers could touch his. The ache that followed was sharp, but it carried something else too, a strange, unnameable hope. Could someone exist in the waking world exactly as they appeared in dreams? She shook her head softly, pushing the thought away. Dreams were meant to fade, weren't they? Yet, that night, as she curled beneath her blanket, her mind wandered to possibilities. What if he existed? What if love truly did find its way to people who least expected it, creeping in quietly while the world slept, or while hearts were too weary to notice? The idea made her chest tighten with both fear and anticipation. Morning arrived with its usual gray light, washing the room in a soft melancholy. She brewed her tea, wrapped her hands around the warm cup, and gazed out the window at the city slowly stirring awake. Her routine was unchanged, but her heart was different now. It pulsed with a quiet expectancy, a subtle yearning that whispered of something just beyond reach. And that was the thing about love, she realized. It didn't announce itself with grand gestures or fireworks. Sometimes, It waited patiently in the corners of ordinary life, in fleeting dreams, in the soft sighs of lonely hearts. Sometimes it came quietly, softly, when you least expected it, but when it did, it left marks that could not be ignored. She didn't know it yet, but the next time she closed her eyes, the dream would feel closer than ever, and soon, the line between dreams and reality would blur in ways she could never have imagined. Love, patient and gentle, had begun its silent work, and though she was unaware, it had already found her, while she was still sleeping. The next morning felt different, though she couldn't quite put her finger on why. The sunlight seemed warmer, spilling across the streets in golden streams, and the air carried a freshness that hinted at something new on the horizon. She wrapped herself in her favorite scarf, stepped out, and wandered toward the small cafe she often visited, her refuge, a place where time slowed and the world softened around her. She chose her usual corner seat, near the window, her hands wrapped around a steaming cup of tea. Her eyes drifted lazily across the room, scanning faces that were familiar, yet none of them made her heart stir the way the dreams had. And then, he appeared. At first, she thought her mind was playing tricks on her. He wasn't just a fleeting image or a shadow this time. He was real, standing by the counter, the sunlight catching the edges of his hair, highlighting the warmth in his eyes. Her breath hitched. He looked exactly as he had in her dreams. Every curve of his jaw, every subtle smile, every unspoken kindness in his gaze, it was him. For a moment, she froze, unsure if she should approach, or if he would vanish like mist if she moved too quickly. But fate, it seemed, had a sense of timing all its own. He turned, scanning the cafe as though searching for someone, and their eyes met. Her heart nearly leapt out of her chest. It wasn't just recognition. It was the silent acknowledgement of something deeper, something that felt preordained. She felt herself trembling, caught between disbelief and hope. He walked toward her, each step measured, yet effortless, and when he spoke, his voice was soft, almost hesitant. "Is this seat taken?" She shook her head, unable to find words at first. Her lips parted, then closed again. Finally, she whispered, "No, it's not." He smiled, the same smile she had dreamed of, warm and gentle, a smile that seemed to hold secrets and comfort all at once. He slid into the chair opposite her, and for a few moments, they simply looked at each other. The cafe fading into the background, the world outside shrinking until it was just the two of them. "I feel like I know you," he said quietly, his eyes searching hers, as though trying to read the story her heart had been hiding. She nodded slowly, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. "I think I've seen you before, in my dreams." His eyebrows lifted, a flicker of wonder crossing his face. "Dreams?" She nodded again. "Yes, it sounds crazy, I know. But every night, I see you. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why, but it feels real. So real." He reached across the table, hesitating for a heartbeat before brushing his fingers gently against hers. The contact was electric, a spark that traveled through her veins and made her pulse quicken. "Maybe it's not crazy," he said softly. "Maybe it's how love finds people. Quietly, unexpectedly, even when they're asleep." Her heart thudded painfully in her chest. Could it really be true? Could the man who had haunted her dreams, filled her nights with a sense of longing she had never understood, truly exist? They talked then, slowly at first, testing the waters of this new, fragile reality. He asked about her life, her favorite books, her favorite songs, the little things that made her smile. And she, in turn, listened to his stories, the soft laughter in his voice weaving a tapestry of intimacy that seemed impossible in such a short time. Every word, every glance, every small gesture seemed to pull them closer. The cafe around them existed only in peripheral vision. All that mattered was the connection forming in this quiet corner of the world. Her heart, which had learned to protect itself from disappointment, began to open, just a fraction at a time, to the possibility that love could truly arrive when least expected. By the time they stood to leave, the sky had shifted into shades of pink and gold, the city basking in the gentle glow of evening. He offered to walk her home, and she accepted without hesitation, as if some invisible force was guiding their steps. They walked side by side, the silence between them comfortable, filled with unspoken understanding. Every so often, their fingers brushed, sending shivers through her that made her cheeks warm and her chest flutter. It was as if the universe had been waiting for this moment, had been quietly arranging events so that dreams and reality could finally meet. As they reached her door, he turned to her, eyes soft but intense. "I don't know what tomorrow holds," he said, his thumb brushing lightly against hers, "but I want to find out with you." Her breath caught in her throat. She had spent so long guarding her heart, yet here he was, offering it a place to belong. With a gentle smile, she whispered, "I think I want that too." And just like that, the line between dreams and reality blurred. Love, which had once only visited her in sleep, had arrived in the waking world, bringing with it a promise of something real, tender, and enduring. The days that followed their first encounter were filled with a quiet, almost magical tension. She couldn't stop thinking about him, about the way his eyes seemed to see the corners of her soul that no one else ever noticed, about the gentle curve of his smile that lingered in her mind long after he had gone. Every message he sent, every call they shared, felt like a lifeline, a thread tying her dreams to reality. It was during a late afternoon walk through the city park that she realized just how much he had already become a part of her world. The leaves rustled in soft whispers, and the sun cast golden patterns across the path. He walked beside her, their steps synchronized in a rhythm that seemed almost predestined. "Do you ever wonder," he asked softly, glancing at her, "if some things are meant to happen, no matter what?" She smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I used to think life was random, but now I'm not so sure." He laughed quietly, a sound that made her heart lift. "Me neither. Meeting you, it doesn't feel random at all. It feels like every choice, every moment led me to you." Her gaze fell to the ground, then back up at him. There was honesty in his eyes, a vulnerability that matched her own. "I've had dreams about someone. I never thought they'd be real. And then you appeared, and suddenly, it all made sense." He reached for her hand, fingers entwining with hers in a gentle, grounding touch. Dreams are sometimes more than illusions. They're glimpses of what our hearts are ready for. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They walked in silence, letting the rustle of leaves and the distant chirping of birds fill the spaces between words. Yet, even in silence, there was communication, unspoken, intimate, and suffused with emotion. As they stopped near a quiet fountain, he turned to her, eyes searching hers. "Tell me something about you that no one else knows," he said softly, a playful tilt to his voice. She laughed, a little nervously, her cheeks tinged with pink. "I sometimes talk to the stars at night. I tell them my secrets, my hopes, my fears, as if they might listen." He smiled, touched by her honesty. "Then I hope they've been listening, because they must have known you were meant to meet me." Her heart fluttered at the words. There was a vulnerability here that went beyond attraction, beyond curiosity. It was a mutual recognition of something profound, something rare. It was the delicate intertwining of two hearts, both hesitant, both yearning, yet both ready. Days turned into evenings filled with long conversations over coffee, walks under the soft glow of street lamps, and shared laughter that felt like music to her soul. They spoke of dreams, of past regrets, of hopes for the future. Every word, every glance, every gentle touch deepened their bond, creating a tapestry of intimacy that neither had experienced before. One evening, as the sky shifted into hues of orange and purple, he asked her to sit with him on a bench overlooking the river. The water reflected the fading sunlight, shimmering like liquid gold. She leaned against him, and he draped his arm around her shoulders. "Do you believe in fate?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. "I do now," she replied, her head resting lightly against his chest. "I think everything that led me here, everything I've felt, it was preparing me for this moment." He pressed a gentle kiss to her temple, and her heart skipped a beat. "I don't want this to be just a moment. I want to know you fully. Every joy, every sorrow, every secret." Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming tenderness of his words. "I want that too," she whispered. "I think I've been waiting for someone like you my whole life." The air around them seemed to hold its breath. In that quiet evening, with the river murmuring below and the city stretching endlessly around them, they felt the first true, unspoken understanding between them. It was more than attraction. It was the recognition of a kindred spirit, someone who could walk beside them through dreams and reality alike. That night, as she returned to her apartment, she lay in bed and thought about him, about their conversations, about the gentle way he had entered her life. She realized that love wasn't always dramatic or loud. It could be quiet, patient, and profoundly transformative. It could arrive softly, in stolen glances, tender words, and the simple comfort of someone who truly saw you. And as she drifted to sleep, she smiled, knowing that tomorrow would bring another shared moment, another conversation, another step toward a love that had found her even while she had been sleeping. The days of soft laughter and quiet intimacy seemed endless at first, as though the world itself had slowed to match the rhythm of their hearts. But life, with its inevitable complexities, soon reminded them that love was never free from trials. It began subtly, small hesitations in his tone, a distracted glance, and moments when he seemed lost in thought. She noticed it instantly, her heart tightening with a premonition she couldn't shake. One rainy afternoon, they sat together in a cafe, watching droplets race down the window pane. She sipped her tea, waiting for him to speak, knowing something weighed on his mind. I didn't tell you everything about me," he said finally, his voice low, almost strained. "There are things in my past, things I'm not proud of. I'm afraid they'll change how you see me." Her heart clenched. She reached for his hand, holding it firmly. "We all have pasts," she said softly. "What matters is who we are now, and the choices we make moving forward." He shook his head, a shadow crossing his eyes. "It's more than that. I've made mistakes, hurt people I cared about, and I don't want to repeat them. I don't want to hurt you." Tears pooled in her eyes, but she refused to let fear take hold. "You won't. Not me. Love isn't about perfection. It's about trust, understanding, and choosing each other even when things aren't easy." For a moment, he seemed to consider her words, his gaze softening. But the tension remained, lingering like the storm outside, a reminder that love, even when magical, could be fragile. The next few days brought a series of small misunderstandings. A missed call, a text left unanswered, and a casual comment misinterpreted. Each incident, though minor, felt monumental against the fragile thread of new love. She found herself questioning, doubting, and longing, emotions that twisted like vines in her chest. One evening, she confronted him. "Are you pulling away?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I feel like I don't know you anymore." He looked at her, pain flickering in his eyes. "It's not you. It's me. I'm scared that I'll fail, that I'll lose you before we even have a chance. I've never felt like this before, and I don't know how to handle it." She took a deep breath, stepping closer. "Love isn't about being fearless. It's about facing the fears together. I'm here. I won't leave. But you have to let me in, completely, or this will crumble before it even begins." For a long moment, silence stretched between them, heavy with emotion. Then, slowly, he reached for her, pulling her into a tight embrace. I don't deserve you sometimes," he murmured against her hair. But I can't let you go either. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she clung to him, feeling the warmth of his heart, the steady beat that matched hers. None of us are perfect, she whispered. But we can be perfect together if we choose to be. The rain outside intensified, drumming against the windows in a steady rhythm, as if nature itself was echoing the tumult in their hearts. They stayed there, wrapped in each other's arms, letting the storm rage outside while finding calm within each other. That night, as she lay in bed, her thoughts swirled with questions, fears, and the lingering tension of the day. She realized that love wasn't just about blissful moments. It was about endurance, about facing uncertainty, about choosing someone even when your heart shakes with fear. And somewhere deep inside, she knew that he felt the same, that despite the doubts, the misunderstandings, and the shadows of past mistakes, their connection was too strong to break. Love had tested them, but it had also proven its strength. As sleep claimed her, she dreamt of him again. In the dream, he took her hand, guiding her through a misty forest where light filtered softly through the trees. They walked together, speaking without words, their hearts in perfect harmony. The dream felt like a promise, a quiet reassurance that whatever storms life sent their way, they would face them together. By the time morning came, the storm outside had passed, leaving a sky painted in gentle pastels. And in that calm, she felt something shift. The tension of the past days melted away, replaced by a quiet, unwavering certainty. Love wasn't easy, but it was real, resilient, and worth every fear, every doubt, and every tear. The challenges had tested them, but in their hearts, they knew the most beautiful part of the story was yet to come. The days after the storm felt different, lighter, brighter, as if the world itself had exhaled in relief. The misunderstandings, the fear, and the doubts had left traces, but they were no longer heavy. They had faced them together, and in doing so, their bond had grown stronger, more tender, and unshakable. They spent mornings in quiet cafes, sipping tea and sharing dreams they had long kept hidden. They wandered through bustling markets, laughing at silly little things, sharing whispered stories that no one else would ever hear. Every glance, every touch, every fleeting smile carried the weight of promises made silently between their hearts. One evening, he invited her to the rooftop of his apartment building. The city stretched out below them, a sea of twinkling lights, as the sun dipped low, casting everything in shades of rose and gold. He held a small blanket in his hands, and she wrapped it around her shoulders, feeling the warmth not just of the fabric, but of his presence. "I brought you here for a reason," he said softly, his voice barely audible over the gentle hum of the city. He gestured to the sky, where stars were beginning to emerge, delicate and luminous. She followed his gaze. "It's beautiful." He nodded, his eyes reflecting the first tiny sparks of the night sky. "It is, but not as beautiful as this moment with you." Her heart fluttered at the words. She felt tears prick the corners of her eyes, but they were tears of happiness, of relief, of a love that had survived the storms and doubts. He took her hands in his, holding them gently, as if they were fragile treasures. "I don't want to imagine a life without you," he whispered. "You've changed everything for me, in ways I never thought possible. I've never loved anyone like this before, and I don't want to waste another moment not showing you." Her chest tightened with emotion. "I feel the same," she replied, her voice trembling. "You found me when I didn't even know I was lost. You make everything feel real and safe and whole." He leaned closer, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her skin. The city around them faded into insignificance. There was no past, no future, only this moment, suspended in time, where two hearts beat as one. And then, softly, he kissed her. It wasn't hurried or desperate. It was tender, deliberate, and full of the kind of love that had been waiting to bloom for a lifetime. She closed her eyes, letting the warmth of the kiss and the certainty of his love wash over her. And for the first time in years, she felt truly, completely seen. They stayed on that rooftop for hours, wrapped in each other's arms, speaking in whispers, sharing dreams and promises for a future they both longed for. The stars above seemed to lean closer, listening to the quiet vows exchanged between two souls that had been searching for each other across time and space. As the night deepened, he held her close, murmuring, "Love found you while you were sleeping, but I promise, I'll be awake with you for every day after this." She rested her head against his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, a comfort she had only ever dreamed of. "And I'll be awake with you too," she whispered. Always. Weeks turned into months, and their love grew in ways both quiet and profound. There were still challenges, moments of doubt, moments of fear, but they faced each one together. Their hearts had been tested, their vulnerabilities laid bare, and yet their bond only deepened, stronger than any obstacle. They discovered the beauty of small moments, sharing coffee in the early morning light, walking hand in hand through rain-soaked streets, laughing until tears streamed down their faces, and lying beneath the stars, whispering secrets only the universe could hear. Each day was a testament to a love that had been patiently waiting, softly and quietly, until it was ready to flourish. One night, she dreamt again of the man she had seen so vividly before meeting him. But this time, the dream felt different. It wasn't longing or a fleeting presence. It was joy, completeness, and a serene happiness she hadn't known she could feel. She woke with a smile, knowing that love had not only found her, but it had stayed. Years later, when she told the story of how they met, she always began the same way. "Love found me while I was sleeping, and when it did, it changed my life forever." And it was true. She had been found in the quietest, most vulnerable moments, and from that day on, her life had been filled with laughter, tenderness, and the kind of love that dreams are made of. Together, they walked through life, not chasing perfection, not fearing the unknown, but embracing every day with hearts open, hands entwined, and souls intertwined. And sometimes, when the world was quiet and the stars shone brightly overhead, she would smile and whisper to herself, "Some dreams are real, and mine came true." The end. And now, as our story comes to a close, take a moment to let yourself breathe, slowly, deeply, feeling the rise and fall of your chest. Allow your body to sink gently into the comfort around you. Let go of all the tension you've been holding today. Tonight, we followed a journey of quiet moments, of dreams, and of love finding someone when they least expected it. And perhaps you can feel it too, that sometimes the most beautiful things arrive softly, like a whisper or a gentle touch, or a dream that feels too real to ignore. Imagine yourself walking beside our heroine, hand in hand with someone who truly sees you, whose presence feels like warmth on a chilly night. Feel the connection between your hearts, the gentle rhythm of breathing together, the comfort of knowing that love, kindness, and peace can always find their way to you, even in your quietest moments. Picture the city around you fading, the lights softening, and a calm glow surrounding your body. Let your mind wander freely, drifting through gentle memories, soft hopes, and the knowledge that you are exactly where you need to be tonight. If your heart has been searching for comfort, for hope, for that gentle reassurance that someone, something, cares, let it sink in now. You are not alone. Love is patient, love is quiet, and love finds us in ways we cannot always see. Through dreams, through small acts of kindness, through the softest of moments. As you lay here tonight, feel your body fully relax, your mind release the weight of today, and your soul connect with the calm, the warmth, and the quiet magic that surrounds you. Imagine your heartbeat matching the gentle rhythm of a peaceful world, safe, serene, and full of possibility. And remember, just like our heroine, sometimes the most beautiful things arrive when you least expect them. So carry this calm, this gentle hope with you. Carry the belief that tomorrow can bring tenderness, connection, and joy in ways you never even imagined. Thank you for sharing this story tonight, for letting your heart rest, for trusting in this quiet moment. May your sleep be soft, your dreams gentle, and your heart open to all the love and warmth the world is waiting to give you. Good night, dear friend.